Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Offer Accepted Show. My name is Jon Taylor and I'm so excited for tonight's episode. We're going to talk about investment opportunities. You're saying, oh my gosh, the market's going through the roof. How can you get a good deal on investments? They are out there. I just saw a 2x2 in Tosa for $250,000. That will make money. That is a good deal because as these home prices go up, the rents will be going up next. In our first segment, Jill Mulane and Missy Buttrum from HomeWire Realty are going to talk about investment properties and how those numbers shake out, what you need to pay in order for that investment property to be a profitable venture for you. Next, we're going to speak to Kris Weninger, and she's going to guide us through the mortgage. How much money do you need down? What happens if you live in it? What if you don't live in it? All those different variables that will affect your mortgage and how you can get financing. And finally, Al sits down with us and tells us about purchasing out of market. Now, if you're going to buy a home in California or Florida or any other location, you need to understand that there's different customs, there's different laws, there's different rules and regulations, especially if you're going to buy an Airbnb. So stay till the end to learn more from Al. This episode is brought to you by HomeWire Realty. Be sure to connect with Missy. She has access to inventory before it hits the market, different inventory that other realtors may not have. She can give you an advantage in getting your home. And her team is out there canvassing the area, looking for homes, finding the home of your dreams, and finding opportunities that others may not. Each week, we're going to deliver content to help you get your home, help you navigate through this market, and get a good deal. We want to help you get your offer accepted. In order to do that, it would help us if you could like and subscribe to this channel. I know you hear it all the time, but it helps the algorithm know that we're here and that we're relevant. And so more people will see it so we can produce a better show and deliver more content to you. So be sure to like and subscribe and even share this content. We'd really appreciate it. Let's jump in a conversation with Jill and Missy and learn more about investment properties in this market.
Welcome back. In this episode, we're going to be talking about investment properties. We have Jill Mulane back here from HomeWire Realty. She is a realtor and also a local investor. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about investment properties. What are you seeing in the market right now as a realtor and an investor as far as multifamilies, duplexes, single family? What's out there right now?
Well, you do have quite the variety of houses out there. Multifamily and duplexes are for certain out there. I'm seeing more single families than a duplex or a multifamily, but they are out there. Investors, I think, are preparing for this market and selling at a higher price. So they're getting ready to list their properties as well that they have as rental properties.
So you're seeing like an influx of duplexes and multifamilies. Maybe they're trying to sell high.
Correct. Yes. Take advantage of the wonderful market that we have and sell their properties at a higher rate than they normally would, and then sit back and kind of wait for maybe a little bit of a settlement in the market to get back in and buy up some more properties.
And then are you seeing new buyers out there as investors? Like
absolutely.
Trying to grab those?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The new investors are out there trying to grab properties and get started in the market with their rental properties and their investment properties. So we do have a lot of investors as buyers coming to us as well that I like to work with as an agent as well.
Great. What about a rule of thumb? So when I personally have buyers or you have buyers come to you and they're looking at a multifamily or a duplex, what do you think is a good rule of thumb so that they're not overspending on that multifamily?
Well, we like to use a 1% rule of thumb. The 1% rule of thumb would mean if you purchase a property for $100,000, you should be earning no less than $1,000 rent on that property per month. So having that 1% is pretty important. And again, give them those guidelines so that they know what they're looking for and what their expectations are when they're searching for the property.
Perfect. So as far as the flip business goes, which you and I both dabble in,
Yes.
What do you think is happening and seeing in that sector as a buyer?
As a buyer, obviously price points are going up for us as investors as well. The seller's market is still a seller's market. So as the prices are rising for on-market properties as well as off-market properties for us as investors, I think that the balance is there, though. We're paying a little bit more on the front end for the properties that we have in the past, and when we're making our improvements, but we're still able to sell for that higher price point. So the numbers still kind of all pan out.
Awesome. I know you have some success stories from some of your flips going on. I also have a success story with an investor. And again, our partnership with Sell 911 that I've discussed on here before brings in those motivated sellers. So I had a motivated seller in West Allis with a 9-unit family, and I was able to match them up with one of my motivated buyers who's looking for something in the area, and was able to make a connection with those two. So another advantage to our company, HomeWire and Sell 911, is we can make those connections.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Missy and Jill gave us some great information on what kind of inventory is out there. Now, if I want to purchase one of those homes, what do I need to do? Is there different qualifications based on if I live there or don't live there, or how does that work?
Great question as far as how we want to handle this. First, we're going to figure out, are you going to live there, meaning owner occupied, or is it going to be an investment property considered a non-owner occupied home? Depending upon what you want to do, depends upon as far as how we want to structure that for financing.
So if I'm a owner occupied and there's 2 people living in there, I'd have to make sure that I can get into one of those units, obviously. But what kind of down payment do I need if I'm going to live there and then rent the other half to, my mother-in-law or something?
Gotcha. So if we're taking a look at a duplex, you're going to be living in one of the units and renting the other one out. The nice thing about that other unit, we can count up to 75% of that rents to help you qualify for that property. So it might bump you up, give you a little bit more purchasing power in that respect.
So you have 75% of their rent. What if it's a 4-unit? Can we? Is it still apply the same way?
Correct. And those rentals, as far as the cost of that's going to be verified through an appraisal, or if you have current active leases going on right now. The nice part about that is, if you are, as far for down payment, if you're looking at owner occupying it, you can purchase it with as little as 3 to 3.5% down payment. 30-year fixed rate, no prepayment penalty. Your payment's going to consist of the principal and interest, property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and private mortgage insurance.
Now, what if I want to get all Grant Cardone and rule the world and have billions of dollars worth of investment property? I'm going to buy my first one. How much money do I need down to get that property?
So depending upon how we want to classify it, you can take a look at, you need at least 20 to 25% down, and don't forget the reserve requirement. And you're like, Kris, what are reserves? Mm-hmm. Reserves, basically, we're going to need at least 6 months worth of reserves, and what it is your principal, interest, taxes, insurance payment. I need 6 months of that sitting in an account somewhere. I'm not going to touch it, I'm not going to use it, but I need to make sure that you have access to it in case you do need that at some point in the future.
Is that for a duplex or a 4-family or both?
That is correct. When it comes to non-owner occupied, they're going to want to make sure that you meet the reserve requirement.
With so many investment properties hitting the market, do you have a story of somebody who has taken advantage of this opportunity, get their offer accepted to get an investment property?
I had a customer about 4 years ago purchase their first property. Since then, they purchased 3 more additional properties, and the last 3 basically are non-owner occupied. We set it up accordingly beginning of how they wanted to structure that. As they came across properties that were great priced and know that they cash flow very, very well, they successfully own 4 homes right now. It's pretty exciting to see. So if you take the time to set things up accordingly, not only as far as for your down payment, but again, remember that reserve requirement. As you start to build your property portfolio, the reserve requirement is going to bump up, because remember, I need 6 months of principal, interest, taxes, insurance payment on each property that you own.
That is great information and great insight into the market. I hope you have an opportunity to purchase an investment property and take advantage of these great rates that are available now. And Kris, we'll see you next week at the Offer Accepted Show, and thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. We're here with Al Spiegel from the McLario Firm, and we're going to talk about buying property out of the area. I'm going to head down to Florida and I might buy a condo. So this is a great episode to understand what can happen if you're buying outside your neighborhood.
Absolutely. A lot of pitfalls we got to be careful for.
So what are some of the major things that you're seeing when people, they buy a condo in Florida, they buy a vacation home in Arizona? What kind of pitfalls are you seeing down there?
Well, it seems a little backwards, but when you think about it, a lot of these places that people are buying out of the area are vacation homes. They're fun homes.
Mm-hmm.
So even though when we buy our regular homes, our forever homes, we tend to be a little less diligent than we should be, it's even worse with a vacation home because this is the fun place. We don't have to worry about contracts and contingencies and everything else. So you see a lot of people that are really moving at a reckless pace with a lot less information than they would normally have.
Right, and if they're on vacation, they might be, having a few and then making a bad decision. And
Swept
buying a
up in the
condo.
moment.
Yep, that can happen. What are 3 things that we could look at as far as, understanding the law, understanding the area, and, just like a quick checklist? We're on vacation, we see that great property, some things that we should just remember.
Sure. Well, you have to remember and hopefully rectify the fact that you don't have any of the local knowledge you would have if we were shopping for houses in Wauwatosa or Slinger or wherever around here. So there could be issues, it might be Hurricane Alley, it might be, who knows what happens
Floods.
in the neighborhood. You don't know about the crime situation in a given area. So you want to try to acquire some of that local knowledge, and that isn't always easy to do. I know in my personal life, we've thought about homes in different places, and one of the things I found useful is to subscribe to the local paper for a little while beforehand and just see what's going on. See where the police blotter is, and see what the news is, and if your street ever comes up in the news. That's good to have. So that's on the sort of local familiarity side of things.
And then to add to that, I've always looked at the grocery store.
Sure.
So, if you want to live in a neighborhood, whether it's local to your home or on your vacation home, go to the grocery store a couple times in that neighborhood and see the people that are there.
Sure.
Those are the locals shopping, and see if you want to live next to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it may be great confirmation, and it might be reason for pause. But especially when you're in such an information vacuum, shopping out of state or out of the area, get as much information as you can, and different things like that are great ways to do that.
Absolutely. Is there some type of restrictions, or if you live in one state, you can just buy in any other state? Is it just easy as just buying at home, or what's the difference?
Well, it can be. The problem that we deal with in the United States of America is that all these different states have different laws. And not only do they have different laws, but they have different sort of customs as far as real estate goes. There are other states, for example, we have a cabin in Kentucky. In Kentucky, you buy a property, and the seller typically has 30 to 60 days to live there after the closing. That's very unusual in Wisconsin. And you can imagine that when we went into that place after they've lived there for 60 days, they didn't do a great job cleaning it up. But that's just kind of how the local custom was. So be aware, understand that you're getting involved in a whole legal system that you don't understand, and get some representation there who can help you with it. You absolutely want to find a local realtor who can give you the lay of the land and point you to the professionals you need. And what are you going to do when you need a plumber or an inspector? Get that point person who can get you there.
Absolutely. And another thing that I've noticed is that the vacation rentals, people buy homes and they say, I'm going to buy this condo, stay here for a few weeks, and then I'm going to rent it out as a VRBO or an Airbnb. And the local laws and regulations may have some real strong restrictions on those, because they don't want people coming in and buying up all the property.
Absolutely.
And just making a bunch of Airbnbs.
And the biggest catch that people get caught on is they buy a condo and do that. And you have to understand, when you buy a condo, those condos have their own association laws, and I can assure you that just about every one of them says you may not use this place as a rental property, because that's the last thing a lot of these condo associations want.
Well, that's such great advice, and know the local laws and customs, and thanks for stopping by, Al. I appreciate it.
Glad to help get this really important information out.
Al, that was fantastic information. It is so important to know the local traditions and laws and rules around buying investment property, especially if you're going to Airbnb it. Be sure to like and subscribe. It helps us reach more people and reach a wider audience. So anything you can do to help, we surely appreciate. Join us next week. There's a lot of new things happening in the market. The foreclosure moratorium ends in a couple of days. Find out what that means to you if you're going to be purchasing a home. And with lumber prices falling to normal levels, home construction is going up. They're finishing more homes. There's going to be more opportunity, more inventory, and more ways for you to get your offer accepted. Join us Tuesday at 7 p.m. for the next episode of the Offer Accepted Show. See you then.